Hi everyone, this is going to be a short little lesson that rounds out our coverage of autos. So in 9.2 we learned, I think it was 9.2, let's go back. Yes, it was 9.2. We learned about the intensive use of autos. And this is when it got paired with a noun that was already in the sentence, and it would mean either himself, herself, or itself. So we could do this with the goddess herself. So that would be aute. And again, cute accent on the ultima, but then that means that we're going to have to make that a grave. So this was the goddess herself. And maybe this was going to be the goddess herself, Kolue, is preventing the soldiers of the enemy, or I don't know what it's going to be, but it doesn't really matter. We have the goddess herself functioning as a kind of super noun, maybe, where it's just doing one thing. It's just still functionally the goddess, but now we're emphasizing that she's the agent in this case that's a subject, but then we could also erase some of this extra kind of baggage that we don't need. We have the goddess herself, but then we can also say sends Pempe the letter tain epistolane. Oh, screwed that up. Epistolane itself, outtane. Epistolane, outtane. So here we have a super nominative, and here we have a super accusative, extended by this intensifying use. So the goddess herself sends the letter, and then in English we want to make this neuter. We want to call the letter a she, so the letter itself. So good, we had the intensifying use in 9.2. Let's go to what we did in 9.3, which was autos as pronoun. This is as a third person pronoun, and we could say I send the man, or the young man, ton neanian, to the city. Well, to the village, because we know the vocabulary for village so far. We'll get to polis, the word for city, very soon. So, but to the village, Aistain Komain, as you're probably all sick of by now. So here, there's no autos here. I'm saying I am sending the young man, an accusative, masculine thing, into the village. But we could replace this, and that's what pronoun means. This is kind of in place of or on behalf of a noun. So we can drop ton neanian and just add the accusative, masculine, singular form auton. I am sending him. Well, who is that him? Well, we know it was the young man, Honeanias. Maybe if we mentioned him in a earlier sentence, we'd be able to kind of say, oh yes, that's going back. But here it's standing on its own, filling in the place of a noun. There's no intensifying, there's just a replacement. Now finally, 9.4, this is our new lesson for today. We're learning the attributive use. And this is closely tied to the attributive position of autos. So let's look at our positions earlier. Here we had aute following the goddess, and then we had the same thing here. We could also, we saw an example earlier where we could say was sending itself the letter. That also worked, but in both cases, autain was not immediately following an article. It was kind of separated from the article. And then here it didn't have an article, or it could. Well, no, it really wouldn't. So now what we have here is a use where autos does follow the article. So how autos neanias. So what does this mean? Well, this means the same young man. So this is attributive. That doesn't really tell us much about its meaning. I don't really want to say it's identifying, but that's somewhat of what it's doing. It's saying, yes, this is the one that we were talking about. The same young man, ... So this is different from read in a different color, so the distinction will be a little bit more clear. I should write it in the right order too. Honeanias autos, which we've just seen, which is the young man himself. So this is intensifying, and right above it, this is attributive. That's what we're doing in 9.4. That's the new thing. So that's great. We could also let's do Shelmerdine's examples. Hai autai, theai, the same goddesses. Maybe they're the Charites, who we learned how to decline earlier. Never decline graces, but you can change their morphology. That's fine. Terrible grammar joke. I'm sorry, everyone. The same, goddesses. And then we could also do something where we just use the article without anything. Ta auta, the same. And then the implication here is it's the same thing. Same neuter, singular thing. But again, it's attributive. It's following immediately an article. That's what attributive means. So I think we're all set here, because we've already kind of shown how ha autos neanias, the same young man, this attributive usage following the article, giving us kind of a sense of identity of the noun that we're talking about, referring back to something, identifying it as something we're already talking about, is very different from honeanias autos, the young man himself, ... Good. That wraps us up. We'll have some exercises next. See you then.